Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Captain Taylor here with SaltyScales.com. So you're thinking about picking up a new hobby, perhaps fishing, and a question comes to mind is how you cast a spinning reel and a spinning rod. Well, that's a valid question, guys, and I see even experienced anglers have trouble with some of these simplistic things. So let me go ahead and show you my simple approach to casting a spinning rod and reel. Let's do it. All right, and so first things first, what you want to do, like with any tool, you want to learn the fundamentals of this reel. And the first things I would tell you to learn is, the terminology. This is your bail. The dial up above controls the drag, loosening it counterclockwise, clockwise, learning that. And then obviously this is your crank. This is what retrieves the line, and the gear ratio of that particular reel is what determines how fast the line is retrieved. So to cast this, what you want to do is you want to manually turn the bail, and you want it to go up just like so. And you want to hold the rod and the reel where it's most comfortable for you. And the way I do that is I like to place my index and middle finger in front of the reel here, reel shaft, and then my other two fingers behind it. That's the most comfortable for me. Some people hold it up here, some people hold it with just their pinky back there, some with two in front, two in the back. So that part is just preference, guys, and that's, there's no right or wrong way in my opinion. Now, in order to get this ready for casting, you want to take your index finger or your trigger finger, and you want to barely lay the line on your finger, just like so. Now, one thing that I see a lot of times being done wrong, even by some more experienced anglers, is they like to grab this whole line just like so. Well, what that does is it impacts accuracy and distance, and a lot of times that line will snag on your finger and your bait won't go where you ideally had it going. So make sure you're paying attention to that. So lay the line on your index finger and engage your bail with your left hand. And if you're right-handed, you do or if you're left-handed, you do the opposite. You'd be holding this with your left hand, engaging with your right. All right, so one of the things that you want to do before you make your cast is to make sure you have about 6 to 8 inches from the rod tip down to the lure. And that's going to give you the most accuracy. You don't want it to be hanging too long, and you don't want it to be too short. You want to be able to use that momentum and weight of the lure to get a good bend in the rod, so that way you can get a nice efficient cast. All right, so here we go. I have my lure here. I'm letting out a little line, and I'm grabbing the line with my index finger. I manually open the bell with my left hand, and now I'm going to locate my target as to where I want to cast. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this. You can roll cast it, you can overhand cast it, or you could do a side cast. Those are the three primary ways that you're going to cast. And for this example, I'll just do a side cast. So I want to cast out in front of me here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load the rod back, and I like to make a cast with two hands. Some people like to just use one hand. I think you get a lot more control utilizing two hands. So I'll hold it just like I showed you here with my right hand, and then I'll hold the butt of the rod with my left hand. And I use it as a pivot. So you're utilizing the rod, and you're using this almost as a power hand, just to bring back more strength and also for control. So that's that primary purpose. So right out in front of me, I'm going to locate my target. I am going to load the rod back, and I'm going to cast straight towards my target. All right, so I just made my cast, guys, and I'm satisfied. I'm close to my target. What you want to do is take your left hand and manually close the bell. And what that does is it engages the reel and allows it to be ready for retrieval. And it also prevents loops, and it prevents damage to the bell. So these are all very important things. So make sure you're manually closing this. And now I can retrieve the line or the lure. I just want to also mention that if the line is going straight up in the air, that means you release too early on the index finger. Now, if the lure is crashing down at your feet, that means you release too late. So you got to get a good feel for it, a little bit of practice, and you'll get the hang of it. Let me show you 3 different styles of casts that are very popular. First off, you got your overhand. Index finger on the line, just a few 6 to 8 inches of the lure hanging from the rod tip. I want to point straight, you know, at the target, and I want to go over. You see how I'm holding it with both hands? I'm going to go straight over. And beautiful. So that's the overhand cast. The next popular one that I use quite frequently is what they would call the roll cast. And that's where you're somewhat close to the water and you're using just the rod to roll, like it's almost like a circular motion. And you're pointing the rod at the direction that you want to go. And a lot of times this roll cast is used to skip baits. It's very popular for docks and such as that, or under mangroves, and you want to skip a lure. This is when you would use that. So it's the same thing. I'm going low. I'm holding the rod with my left hand and my right here. I have the line loaded on my finger, and I'm just rolling. And you can see how the lure skipped across the water there because it had a low trajectory, and just like a stone skips the water, if you have a flat lure, it'll do the same. All right, so the very next cast is what we call just a simple side cast. And you're not getting low and you're not rolling the rod like on a roll cast. You're pretty much opening the bill, or placing the line on your finger, opening the bill, locating your target, and instead of casting overhand, you're loading the rod to your side and pointing it straight at your target and then releasing your finger, just like so. Hopefully you were able to get a visual demonstration on how that worked, guys. If you enjoyed today's tip on how to cast a spinning rod, please give a thumbs up and comment below. Do you want to see more like this? Does this help you guys? I hope so. Until next time, we'll see you on the water.